I'd like to welcome everybody tonight to Let's Talk Racing. We've got Rob Amos as our guest host tonight, and we have our tried and true fan, Stephen Durbin. We lost him last weekend.
Last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I tell you.
Busy Wednesdays.
What do you do? Work for a living or something?
I know, right? It's crazy.
All right. We're going to be having Geoff Bodine joining us here momentarily.
So is he first?
Yeah, he's going to be first on the list. We'll
Supposedly.
do a little couple of quick things while y'all talk about some of the racing stuff while I go get him on the line.
All right. Well, I tell you what, for some reason, I'm in Cityville.
Oh.
So if anybody wants to talk about Cityville, I'm your man. I'm right here. Let's talk Cityville.
Not a problem.
What chat room did you wind up in?
I have no idea.
Technical it's okay. It's all right. I haven't heard a whole lot of
Let's see here.
news going on, but obviously Bristol is going on this weekend, and that's always a big race for any fan and driver. So it should definitely be exciting to watch. I always can't wait for that. I'm looking around here. Yeah, not a whole lot going on. Just for starters, though, I do want to say I wish everybody in Japan luck. I have a lot of friends out there in NMCD 133 in the Navy. They just landed there, so hopefully everything goes all right for them. And hopefully that situation gets better.
There you go. You should be down there.
All right. So what do I wait for questions, or what do we?
Just
kind of talk
say hi
random
to people that pop in.
random stuff here. The moral shows.
First thing I want to do is give a shout out to the people in Japan.
That's what
You already been doing
I
that?
just did while you were doing.
Oh, okay.
I got a lot of friends over there right now. So.
My daughter's over there.
If I wouldn't come here, I would be there right now.
Anyway,
So
so what'd y'all think of the truck race?
I didn't see it.
Be honest with you, it's the first one I
I'm
missed.
slacking.
I missed it.
Oh,
How did Todd do, by the way?
Todd? Oh, if you're going to ask me questions, I can't call Geoff.
Hey, well, you know.
Go to NASCAR.com.
Yeah,
NASCAR.com.
I'm working on that. I thought all three were off, so that was my fault on that one. I didn't even bother to look for a race. So.
Let's see. I think Johanna Long was in there running.
Was it Martinsville?
No, that was at...
March 13th. Okay, never mind.
No, they ran at
So I didn't think
Lady
so.
in Black.
Oh, now I'm mad I missed it.
Darlington!
Yeah, Darlington, good old
Crap.
Darlington.
All right, well, let's see. We have Casey Kane won the truck race at Darlington, driving Kyle Busch's truck. Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it must be nice getting in that nice new good equipment, quick, fast.
Especially since Kyle knows how to set it up, too.
Oh, definitely. He's got it down pat. Seems like anything he drives, he can take to the front.
And Ron Horvaday came second with Todd Bodine third. So
Oh, okay. Good,
there's your question.
good finish for the family.
And then Matt Crafton and James Busher, Timothy Peters, Elliott Sadler. A lot of the same names you'll see always up front. But that's why they're the best in there.
Yeah, well, we're proud. Todd won another truck championship last year, so that's 2 for the Bodine family. So we're pretty excited about that, and hopefully you'll have continued success this year.
Well, by the looks of it, it shouldn't be too hard for them. They're always up there, and that's all it takes. It's consistency to be up there.
Oh, yeah, they're pretty consistent. They've got it down pat, so we just need some help there on the sponsorship end, but so do we. We're looking for sponsorship to run in all 3 of the NASCAR series, from the truck, nationwide, up to the Cup. And Geoff Bodine is in great shape. He's still driving. His reflexes are great. Even during the physicals, the doctors are looking at him going, what in the world are you doing? I mean, your eyesight is better than when you were 40. Your reaction's better than when you were 40. What are you doing?
He's ready to go then.
He is ready to go and chomping at the bit. So
It's good to hear.
anybody looking for a good driver with great media coverage, we have him. He's a great spokesman and a great American hero.
So let alone experience too.
Oh, very experienced.
That's awesome. I've wondered what he was up to. Glad to see he's going after driving again.
Oh, definitely. I mean, he never lost that drive. Back in the day when everybody started to go towards the younger drivers, these older drivers, they started losing their rides. So, there's a lot of great experience out there, especially for a team that's looking at doing something. I mean, somebody with experience, keep the cars in one piece, and that, in fact, the most important thing is to get the publicity, the TV cameras, and the media to cover you. And Geoff being the only driver to win the Daytona 500 and win an Olympic gold medal.
Yep, that's really hard to do. So.
Completely unique, one of a kind.
Then, especially with a lot of young guys going on, a lot of guys are going to be fighting for their jobs too. And if he can stand out, have that experience already there, then that'll help him out too. So.
Definitely. So any teams out there that are looking at trying to get in a nationwide or a truck, you should give us a call.
Cool. We now have our buddy Geoff on the line.
Hey, Geoff.
Hey, hi guys.
What's going on?
How you doing tonight?
I'm just hearing, who wants to get in the Nationwide or Truck Series?
I'm trying to get you in the driver's seat.
There you go. Come on. I'm ready.
That's right and roll.
That's what I've been telling everybody.
Yeah, we're ready. It's so darn hard to come up with the stuff it takes to buy those tires and engines.
It won't.
Yeah, that sponsorship money has been very hard to come by, but
I mean, everybody's having problems with sponsor money this year.
Well, that's the economy, but it's you can still find it though. It's just a matter of getting it out there.
Yeah. Well, just like with any place you go to, you got to show them a good return on what they're going to be giving you.
Exactly.
And that's the biggest thing.
well, we're unique in the fact that we have the only driver to do, like I said, win the Daytona 500 and an Olympic gold. What he has done for the United States with the Bodine bobsled project is truly incredible.
Geoff, go ahead and tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's hard to tell, just a little bit. We've been doing it for, I think, about 18 years. I actually started in 19...
Well, we'll give you a half hour then. How's that?
Yeah. I learned that our American athletes weren't using American-made bobsleds. Plus, they had to buy their equipment, and I just thought both of those things are wrong. And especially, I always thought Americans athletes in the Olympics were using American-made whatever, and that our Olympic Committee gave it to them, but that wasn't the case. So it's all because of racing. All because of NASCAR. All my success, those wins. I could afford to tell them up there in Lake Placid I was going to build them some bobsled. Of course, they thought I was just messing around with it. And they didn't believe me at the time. But I went back to North Carolina, and I ended up calling one of my good friends, Bob Cuneo, Chassis Dynamics. We built race cars together, and actually he was my engineer on when I had the 7 team, and asked him if he'd do this project for me. I didn't have time. I was racing, so
Yeah.
But he did, and he didn't know anything about bobsleds. I didn't either. We thought it was going to take a few dollars to make this happen, but it took a lot of money. You get the first one built, tested, proved that we could do it, and then we built a fleet of them. And but it's all because of NASCAR that I could afford to do that. So I'm thankful to NASCAR, to auto racing, the fans for coming out and watching, so they could pay those purses so I could do this. And now we have the best, the fastest bobsled in the whole world, which is, when you think of that, the whole world. NASCAR. I won the 500, and I mean that's a huge event, a huge accomplishment. I mean, it's a short list of drivers that have done it, and really proud of it. But when you're involved in something that incorporates the whole world,
It's quite an accomplishment.
every country in the world that competes in the Olympics, you have something that's better than anyone in the whole world. It's pretty incredible. It still really hasn't sunk in what that really means. Maybe it never will. I don't know, but I know it's pretty neat, really special, and we're still building bobsleds for our athletes. And of course, I think most people know we're we're not for profit. We don't sell these bobsleds to our American athletes or to any athlete. The Russians offered us a lot of money for some bobsleds here a few years ago, and I had to tell them no. They didn't like it.
Yeah, they'll be all right.
Olympics are in Russia. Should I go?
No.
I might end up in Siberia somewhere.
Well, we'll hope not. They'll probably have you racing sleds up there, snowmobiles or something.
Yeah, well, as long as I'm racing, I don't care. I'm really.
That's my philosophy. As long as it's going fast,
Yeah, I'm really frustrated watching. I'm not a good spectator. I like to be out there. Actually, I have a little announcement to make. I'm going to be running the PASS Association race in North Wilkesboro coming up here April 8th and 9th.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big late model race in North Wilkesboro. I've had some success with that little track, and
Yes, you have.
I'm pretty excited about going back there. It's a great track to race on, and I know the race fans up in that area miss that the Cup car's not racing there. So we're going back there. Danny Bagwell is supplying car for me. He's raced that series quite often, and so I'm confident he has a good car, a good setup, knows what to do to it all. And I just got to go out there and drive the wheels off that thing and bring it home first, hopefully.
Well, I'm sure you won't have any problem doing that.
Oh, no, wait a minute. There's always problems.
Yeah.
About 36, there's 40 other problems out there. 300 lap race at Wilkesboro is tough.
That's a long race.
Wow.
Long race is right.
Especially for a late model, too.
I haven't raced in a while, and I got to get in shape, I guess, maybe.
Oh, yeah, you got a lot of left turns there. Your arms will be sore by the end of the night.
Well, good thing I have power steering, right?
Yeah.
That don't even help sometimes on the long races. Jeez.
Who's that guy about power steering in NASCAR? Who's
Yeah, I wonder who that was. I think it's that same guy who beat everybody in North Wilkesboro by entire lap. Isn't that the same person?
Yeah, that's the track that I did that. I lapped the field, and last guy to ever do that in NASCAR. I almost lapped the field twice there. With Bud Moore's car, I was the only guy that finished the lead lap with me that day was Mark Martin. I was right behind him, getting ready to lap him. So, like I said, we've had some really good success there at the track, and hopefully we'll get one more successful race in it.
Well, hopefully we can get the word out enough that people will look stronger at you, and we can get you back into the NASCAR series, so we can show everybody what you can do.
Well, that's why drivers do these kind of things. They race all over the place. One, for experience. Two, they like it, they love it, and three, to show people what they can do. And yeah, that's the hard part for someone like myself. And these times to get that opportunity to show that you can still do it. I raced in South Africa a year ago, and actually I qualified Tommy Baldwin's car at Pocono a year ago, and that's a really hard track to do that at. And I tell people, I hadn't raced there in about 6-7 years. They changed the track a lot at Pocono, and I hadn't really driven one of these new cars ever. And I think I got 10 laps of practice, and I still made it, qualified the car. And after we got a little more practice on the track, we got running really, really good. And of course, back around race time, he didn't have a sponsor, so we ran, I think, 31 or 2 laps, and then he said, bring it on in, and had to park it, which was really heartbreaking because we were running good, and I was having a good time out there. And, but just those experiences like that and a few other races, I still feel like I can go in a car and be competitive. I proved it, and so it hurts not being able to do that.
Oh, yeah.
I just hope I get a chance. This chance at Wilkesboro is one, and I hope there's some more this year. I can get out there and see what I can do.
Hey, Geoff, have you given a thought to what some of the drivers have done and do a fan car for one of the races?
That's pretty difficult. I don't know how successful they've been with that program. I know in the past it didn't work out for some guys, and hopefully it is now. But I really not much about doing it that way. But if there's any fans out there listening that think it might work, get a hold of Rob Amos or myself, and we'll think about it, and maybe we can put something together.
Yeah, I know Kenny Wallace has been working on his, and he's been doing pretty good on that. There's been a couple other drivers in other series, ARCA and Truck, that have also done it and been able to get out there and run. So you never know.
No, hey, I'm open to anything, man. Whatever it takes. Yeah. Almost. I won't go Robert Banks. I won't go that far.
Well, maybe we can start a movement on Facebook to everybody get Geoff back in the car.
Heck yeah.
I really a little disappointment this winter. I've worked with AARP. Actually, I planted a seed with them about a little over 5 years ago, and last year they called me up and wanted me to do a convention down here in Orlando for them, which I did, and for their National Driver Safety Program, and along with that was talk to them about some races, NASCAR. And then a few weeks after we did our thing, and things are looking pretty good for us. The announcement came out they were going to sponsor Geoff Ford and Rick Henry. So I'm really disappointed there. I fit the age group, the demographic for AARP. I'm 62 in April, a few weeks from now, and that really is where AARP is. So we thought a lot of things in common, and it's going to work, and rug got pulled out from under me. I got spun out.
Oh.
Again.
Got dumped into the wall.
Again.
Jeez. Yeah, that's the thing I hate to see is people, the drivers, the teams, they go out and work some of these sponsors, and all of a sudden
something like that happens.
They get shifted off somewhere. I mean, I personally have sat there and was talking with some of the teams, and NASCAR, of all people, snatched the sponsorship off the car and said, hey, you can be the official NASCAR whatever, and you get lots more and all this other stuff, and then the team basically wound up, had to struggle and try to find another sponsor to fill the shoes. And this is while the economy was still good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to go there.
Yeah.
It's very competitive out there trying to get sponsors. We all need them. It doesn't matter if it's a race team or a driver, an owner, a racetrack, a series. It takes money to do all those things, and so we're all in competition for pretty much the same companies, same people out there, same sponsors. We've been looking, Rob and I and some other folks, we've been looking outside the box, way outside, and I thought we had someone on the line, but it hasn't developed yet. But maybe it will one day. But that's kind of what you have to do right now, is look way away from where everybody else is going, and or somebody will come along and spin you out.
All right.
Well, I've got some stuff I've been working on with a couple of companies, and it's actually just about any driver can work into the scenario. I think I showed it to you, or did you get a chance to look at it the other day, because we were talking to Daytona 500?
No, I haven't had a real chance to look at it, but maybe you want to say something to Geoff and see what he thinks of it.
Yeah, I'll get with him, and he can get with you, or do a three-way and talk to you about some of the stuff we've got going on, and hey, every little bit helps.
Yeah, no, and you never know where any of that's going to go. So like Rob was saying, we have the bobsled thing we can use. That's a feel-good story. People all over the country want to know about it, want to talk about it wherever I go, which is great. I appreciate all that, and and I have some pretty good history in NASCAR and racing, and you think you put all that together, and it'd be a good package for somebody. Plus, I'm a senior. I have experience behind me, and that can be marketed in certain groups really well. And so you say, well, you put all that together, man, somebody should come along, but they haven't done it.
Mm-hmm.
And but we keep trying. We're not going to give up. But talking about experience, what's wrong with some of these car owners? I mean, they keep putting the same drivers in the car, and they go out there and wreck. So they get rid of him, get the other guy, and some of these guys just keep making a circle around the garage in different cars. And
I've noticed that as well.
They go out there and crash. And if I was a car owner, I would put up with that. And
get someone that can do the job, basically.
Well, but you hear it on TV all the time. They're interviewing a guy after a wreck, and darn it, he tells what happened. He says, "Yeah, it doesn't matter though. We got another car in the truck."
Yeah.
They have no respect for the car owners spending the money, for the crew guys working on these cars, building these cars, for the sponsors that aren't their cars are on a racetrack going around in circles where everyone can see it and be talked about. They have no respect. They don't care. They say, "Oh, we got another car. We'll just get it off the truck, and we'll be there next week. No problem."
Mm-hmm.
If I was a car owner, I'd fire every one of them because, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, they just use those cars as weapons, and they just don't care. And so I blame a lot of that on the car owners because they're the ones that control who they put in the seat.
And I think a lot of that might have to do with popularity too.
Experience is usually pretty valuable, and when you go to a guy like the era I was in, if you wrecked, you didn't have a ride.
Yeah.
Bud Moore, Junior Johnson, Rick Hendrick, all those car owners, they look for drivers that didn't wreck. Wrecks are part of racing. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't put up with a driver that wrecked their car all the time. They get rid of them. And so that's the era I'm from. And I've learned how to race without wrecking a lot. And I wish I had a chance to get it back out there and try it again. Of course, the way these drivers wreck, I mean, it's hard to miss the wreck sometimes, I know. I'll be on the defensive all the time.
Back when we were at Pocono and you qualified, I mean, you beat some pretty big sponsored teams that did not qualify for the race. So, I mean, pretty much for you, your race was to qualify for Pocono and show the people that you could get into that car. I mean, with very little track time, you did an amazing job, especially since the track did change. And I mean, it was great to see everybody come by, and you got a ton of media coverage there. Even USA Today did an article about you in the paper about that Pocono event. And that's the thing that we're trying to get to these folks out there that are watching and listening, that you bring a real substantial value to any sponsor that would want to sponsor you in the series. And especially like we were talking before, even if we can find a baby boomer company that we have something more in common with, to show that, hey, you reach an age, your life's not over, look what I'm doing, and, I have a long way to go yet.
Yep.
Well, that's true, and we do, because of who we are, one, and what we've done, and our age. We do get a lot of media coverage, and Pocono was a good example of that. And so yeah, you're right, Rob. And it's like I was actually at Pocono. I talked to these folks, Gillette people, Young Guns. That promotion they have is a great promotion. But I said, you know what? You're missing a big part of your customers.
Yep.
Guys, we shave too. We don't stop shaving just because we turn 60.
That's right.
We shave more.
I think a few of them haven't started shaving yet.
Yeah. But they haven't done it yet. They said they were going to, but they haven't done it. So, it's their money, it's their product. But, some of these people, corporations, are missing out on this generation of folks that are still controlling the wealth in in this country. It's the baby boomers. You know, they're not spending on cars and houses anymore. Now they're spending on health and trying to just be healthy and live. But they're still spending money.
Well, that's true. I mean, and even when you talk to people today, they all are sitting out there and say, I wish we could see somebody like Geoff Bodine run again. I mean, it brings the excitement back to the track. It gives somebody something to watch again. There's so many folks that are our age that are not really watching the races anymore.
Have you ever tried that?
Well, and I want to race for a couple of reasons. I don't want to race just for a paycheck. I want to race because I want to go out there and prove that experience is valuable and that I have taken care of my body physically and mentally, and I can still do it. And I'm motivated. I want to be the oldest winning driver. I'm going to be 62. I want to be the oldest guy to win a NASCAR race. So here we go. I'm pretty motivated.
Who's got that record?
I'm not happy to sit down and watch.
Is it Mark?
Harry, I think.
Oh, Harry.
Harry Gant.
Gant, yeah.
Is it Harry Gant got that record?
No. Yeah, I got to beat Harry though.
Yeah. But you beat him over in Nashville in that one late model race.
Yeah, well,
Those of y'all that are having a problem with the chat room, I thank God it's not mine. It's all Facebook stuff, so y'all having a problem with chat room, we apologize for that.
I think a lot of people are fascinated also, at least for me, for instance, I'd like to see you, Terry Labonte, and Bill Elliott all go at it up front again. That'd be awesome to see, and because they're running well too, they're doing it all, and it'd be just cool to see some of the other guys who can still do it and get up there too.
Yeah, Bill's had some good runs, and Bobby Labonte,
Yep.
he's doing really well in a few races. It's hard for all us guys to get the right opportunity. I mean, these teams are pretty darn tough anymore. The top.
Have you heard about this new division that they're starting? I think Marvin Ponch is going to run in it down in Iowa for the older generation of drivers, kind of like an IROC series.
I haven't heard of that one.
There's
there's been other people trying to get that done, and old school racing. But when I tell people, they say, "Oh man, they ought to start a seniors league." I said, "Well, wait a minute. You do understand why a driver stops racing, right?" Why? Well, because he doesn't want to go fast anymore. They hit those walls, they hurt. But it's pretty hard to get old drivers to agree to get in race cars and go fast again. I mean, we saw a terrible example of that in Bristol last year.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
We can't ever let that happen again. And but that shows the danger involved in racing. And when you get older, you have kids, grandkids. You don't want to do that anymore, guys. And so, senior league in racing is, I don't know if it'll ever work. Softball's one thing, but ball's a whole different matter.
I got a good one for you here, and you still got the drive to race, and there's a lot of guys that are older out there that still have that big drive to race, and you guys can be very competitive. But you see some guys really, when they get up there, they really slow down. What do you think causes that? I mean, is it the driver, and he says, "Man, I just want to finish races and not tear anything up"? What kind of gets that mindset?
There's a lot to that. Some people, not just in racing, they lose reflexes, eyesight, physical conditioning, which relates to mental conditioning. We're all different.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm really proud of physically and mentally. I've really maintained well. That's one thing I've been doing here for the last 5-6 years is talking to people about how dangerous our food is and what they need to do to protect themselves and stay healthy. And so it's really worked for me. Plus, some drivers have made a lot of money, have in the bank, so they don't want to take a chance. messing up and where they can't spend that money. Some have kids, some have grandkids. They worry about a lot of reasons that can cause someone to slow down whatever they do, and a lot of it's physical, and mental, just age. So I've done well. Thank God for that. I survived a pretty horrific accident in Daytona in 2000, and I came out of that with everything working, still working pretty darn good. So I want to get out there and show people that, just because you turn 60, you don't have to sit down and eat couch potatoes.
No, not at all. You want to do it, you can still do it. Go for it.
Look at the guys like Steve Kinzer and Danny Lasowski and Jack Howdenchild, and those guys are, well, Howdenchild's probably mid-40s.
John Force.
John Force, he's at 60. These guys are still going strong here.
All right, and I pull for them every week. I pull for the old guys, and, because they can still do it, and they are still doing it. Man, it's amazing what's going on. And, I'm just in that category. Unfortunately, I'm that needle in the haystack. Nobody can find me. I can't find a sponsor.
Yeah.
We're still trying. A lot of good people helping me, trying to help me, and I appreciate it all. And Rob Amos is one of them.
Well, we're trying to do our best to get you out there. We just need to try to find some baby boomer company or somebody that'll give you a shot. And
I'm sure somebody will.
I mean, another reason too, like when some people will say, okay, somebody that's older gets out on the track and they're not performing. Sometimes it's the equipment that they're in also.
Yeah.
It's hard for somebody to compete with equipment that doesn't have the money behind it, like a big money team. But another thing too is that last year in Atlanta, when you were in that Craftsman truck, I mean, look what you did with a no sponsor team. I mean, you were running up there, and you had a chance to be a top 10, top 5 finish if that rear end didn't blow.
Yeah, Danny Gill gave me a real good opportunity there, and unfortunately the cooling line came off the rear end, and the rear end burned up and put us out of the race.
That's never good.
But
I mean, you qualified 8th. I mean, you beat Todd in qualifying, which was your goal anyhow. Everybody was talking. Wow, can you beat Todd on the qualifying, and can that happen? And you did. I mean, and
it was pretty amazing, yeah. But I probably hurt myself the last few years. I was helping a friend of mine, Larry Gunzelman. Todd also drove his car, and I drove it. Well, we're just trying to help him survive. He was a, no sponsored team and underfunded, starting to park a lot, and not the good stuff. And and like Rob said, you go out in something like that, you don't look good. But you know what? At the time, I didn't care. I wasn't doing it for my looks or for me. I was doing it for Larry to help him survive and have a way to make some money. And I've done it before. I did it, basically with Tommy Baldwin, as a start part. And so sometimes those things can hurt you, hurt your image, and then maybe people don't want to look at you or don't think you can still do it. Well, if that's the case, so be it. I help people, and I did it because of that. And if I had the opportunity to do it again, I'd do it again because we all need help at times. And
exactly.
That's all I was doing.
Any chance of you getting back in a modified?
Oh, I'd love to. I would love to. I really wanted to run a modified at Bristol. And again, that friend that had a couple but couldn't come up with the money. Buy the tires and engines and stuff to make it work. So, maybe one day I'll get back in a modified. I don't know. I really don't have anything to prove there, but they are fun. And the last time I drove one in Loudon, New Hampshire, I think it was 25 years since I'd been in when I sat on the outside pole. And at this point, I didn't get the pole, but it showed I can still do it. And I love those cars. Yeah, that's what taught me about racing.
I don't think a lot of people realize that for a number of years you were a terror around here in the Virginia area. You came down and drove for Manual, and you actually set some records down here, didn't you?
Yeah, and unfortunately, when I was driving the late models, that's what they were called. All those wins and things I did with Emmanuel Zabakis in 80 and 81, they don't count. They're not in a record book, the modern day. But man, I won a lot of races. I won all the time. I built the cars, Emmanuel's shop, designed them and built them, and Butch and brothers all helped. But we called them a white tornado. They were white 99s, and man, they were fast. And we won and won and won. And, a lot of fun back in those days. But I don't know, all the things I did then, they don't count today.
Well, somebody that's back doing historical stuff is going to eventually get to the point and say, hey, this has to matter for something, and that's what it's going to take for somebody to do, to all of a sudden say, hold it, we need to have him in our car.
Yeah, somebody will realize it.
Hey, man.
Oh, I hope so, guys.
I remember too. I mean, we talk about helping teams. EJP out of Maine. I mean, look what you did for that team. Daytona, the truck race. I mean, there's actually pictures that Speed had of you and Carl Edwards going for the lead at Daytona.
Yeah, I know. And on a sad note, the crew chief for that team, Steve May, passed away a week ago.
Oh no, I didn't
Sorry
know
to hear
that.
that.
He was just a young guy, and had a heart attack. Heart failure is #1 killer in our country. So that's another reason why I go around talking to people about how dangerous food is and what they need to do to protect themselves. But again, a good friend gone, and he was part of that team, and he actually was crew chief when I owned the 7 team and had truck teams for Dave Resendez and my son Barry and Tammy Jo Kirk. He was involved in all that.
Yeah, but I mean, you talk about all those races that you won back in your race shop. I mean, what was the final count? You had well over 600 trophies.
Yeah, main events over 600 in the 20s or 30s is the main events.
And how many Martinsville clocks?
Oh, I think I won 16 races at Martinsville.
Wow.
Well, if you don't need any of the extra clocks, I'll help get rid of one, give you some free space there.
Geoff is announcing the new Geoff Bodine clock stores. So he
Clock store.
Well, you want to hear something, guys? I have one clock out of all of that, and I'd given it to my mother. It's the first clock I won in a modified car, and my father had it. Of course, my mother passed away a few months ago, so I have a clock now. But all the other ones I've given away to family, friends, crew chiefs, owners. Yeah, it's some people think I'm crazy. But, I like other people to enjoy all that. I don't need to have a trophy or anything to remind me of what I did or what I won. And this one clock is special because my mom had it, but
16 grandfather clocks. I think that would drive you crazy every half hour.
I don't have the dinger going.
Oh, okay. You still got 2 brothers, Todd and Brett, and Brett's heavily involved with NASCAR now, and you still got Todd, in the trucks doing remarkably well. Do you get a chance to spend time with your 2 brothers?
Not like we used to. I live down here in Melbourne, Florida, and they're up in North Carolina. When I go to the track, of course I do, and but they're busy, we're busy, so yeah, unfortunately, life sometimes doesn't allow you to do all the things you want to do. And but yeah, I watch them and support them. I'm proud of both of them. I had a little rough start to the truck series this year, but last weekend at Darlington, boy, he was going for it. From second to third, but he was trying to win, and I'm proud of him for that. He doesn't give up. We always hear that from him. He doesn't give up, and he didn't there.
So he's
Brett works for NASCAR, and he's he drives a pace car on Sunday, but he does a whole lot more than just drives a pace car for them. He works in the R&D department, and there's a cost management with teams and other things now. He got promoted, so they love him. NASCAR loves him. SC loves him. They don't love me quite as much as they love him. I've always been a little controversial, and so the love between NASCAR and me isn't quite as strong as it is between Brett and them. So I'm proud of him, what he's done, and he's really, really smart, and he's doing really well with them. And
I heard he gets to lead the most laps everywhere he goes, though.
He's always in front. He never is behind.
See, that's where all the Bodines should be, right?
Yeah, so,
two of them are there.
he won North Wilkesboro in his own car, the 26 car. And so he's a NASCAR winner, which we're proud of. And I'd like to see Ty get up in the Cup Series. He's learned a lot. He's really matured as a driver. And I think now if he got the opportunity to drive in Cup, he'd do a lot better than he did the first time around.
Oh yeah, I can definitely see that.
Hey, Geoff, a lot of people have seen the movie Days of Thunder. Would you like to tell the folks how that kind of came about?
Yeah. Back in, I think it was 86, we're going to won a Daytona test, and Rick Hendrick was friends with Paul Newman. And Paul he was a great racer, road racer. He wanted to drive Daytona, so Rick invited him down to do that. We took a Robert G. late model car down there. Well, he showed up with this guy named Tom Cruise, this up-and-coming movie star. And it was my duty to go out there and show him how to get around the track and coach him and teach him and babysit him. And so I did that, and they did well. Really did good. Back then, no restrictor plates, so that late model went up. I think Paul went about 191, and Tom went 189 or something like that. So.
Jeez.
And didn't hit anything, which was really good. Well, we were at dinner after that, and I said with these famous movie stars, and I said, "Man, we got all these, a lot of old racing movies. James Gardner Grand Prix, and they're great movies, but they're old. We need a new modern movie. Why don't you guys make a new, up-to-date modern movie about NASCAR?" Well, I planted that seed with Tom. Of course, he went on and did that, and the movie writers came to the tracks and talked to drivers and crew chiefs about stories. Tell stories about racing and what happened. In those days, it was the Dale Earnhardt Sr. show and Geoff Bodine show weekly. Banging fenders and knocking each other around and getting in trouble. So all the stories that were in that movie, most of them are about the late Dale Earnhardt and myself. And there's one other driver that got involved, and he was a teammate of mine, Tim Richmond.
Yep.
Tim was young and single and playboy and handsome and heck of a driver, and so all the playboy parts, sex parts, the girls, that was about Tim.
That wasn't you?
No, I'm sorry. I was married back then, and so that movie's about three drivers: Earnhardt, Tim Richmond, and myself. Pretty cool.
Geoff, you brought up something, and I wanted to really ask you about this. Harry Hyde, you were on that team with Tim Richmond and all that. A lot of people don't realize how much of a character that guy was.
Well, that's why I joined Rick Hendrick. It wasn't because of Rick Hendrick. It was because of Harry Hyde. Harry came to me one day and said, "Hey, I got a guy you need to meet. Rick Hendrick, car dealer, wants to start a Cup team. I'd like to have you driving, but you need to come down." So I went down and met Rick, and he found out who he was, and he's a great guy. And Harry told me he's a great guy. That's the nicest guy you'll ever meet. And in the meeting, he said, "Well, I don't have sponsors, so I can only guarantee about 15 or 16 races this year." And I said, "That's okay."
By the way, we also have somebody else on the line with us. Her name's Lori Banks. And she also has told me she has a surprise guest out in the background there with her. So just to let her know that we can hear her if she says anything while we're talking with you.
Well,
Hey guys,
Hello.
I have a surprise guest. I have Leonard Wood,
Oh wow.
yes, and he's going to say hi to Geoff.
Wow.
Is this, can you hear me?
yeah, we can hear
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just listening to your comments here. I miss seeing you. I've always enjoyed seeing you at the track, and I wish you a lot of success in finding a sponsorship if that's what you want to do. You was a great driver and still a great driver, but just want to let you know I was listening to you and look forward to seeing you sometime soon.
Thank you, Leonard. I need everyone to know this, that, I've always wanted to drive for the Wood Brothers. No, really. And, I was with Rick Henrik, and then when that was ending, Kettle was in a little bit, but then Junior Johnson offered me a deal, and then Ford asked me to go with Bud Moore, and it just never worked out to where timing for me to say yes to those guys or ask them if I could drive for them, because I mean, what a name, what a history in the sport. And then they go down to Daytona this year and win the Daytona 500. Congratulations! My goodness, just a storybook career they've had in NASCAR, and I'm so proud of them. And I just wish I'd been one of their drivers. And hey, you know what, Leonard? It's not too late. I'm still looking.
Okay, well, I appreciate the congratulations, and my nephews Ed and Lynn and we used to go to Martinsville and watching that modified. It was just awesome to watch you run that modified over there, but sorry we never did get together, but I just wish you the best in the future. Just want to say hi to you and let you know I was listening to you. So
Hey,
I'm going to turn it back over to Miss Lori Banks.
We'll see you at the racetrack.
Okay.
Hi.
That was great, Lori, to have him come on there with us.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you, Lori.
Thank you very much.
Let's go ahead and finish up with Geoff here.
Well, one thing that I'll let everybody know that Geoff lends his celebrity helps out a lot of different charities. Coming up this spring, if you go on Facebook, Geoff is doing a drawing for Alzheimer's, and it's a 1970 Dodge Super Bee. And Geoff, do you want to tell them the website that they can go to have a chance to win this car?
I'm not sure what the website is, Rob, but it's a show car. A friend of mine down here in Melbourne, AJ Hires, has done this for 16 years now. It's auctioned cars off for Alzheimer's. And last year he raised a little over $250,000. So it's a full-time job for him. He has dealerships, but he does this full-time too. And we've been fortunate. Rob said, get involved in a lot of charities. I'm doing an event called the Fireball Run, and it's named after the late Fireball Roberts. It's a road adventure, 7 days. It's going to start here in Melbourne, Florida, and up in Gulfport, Mississippi. Go online and look up Fireball Run. And what it is, it's awareness of missing children. And through this adventure, I think they've had 6 years. They've located 32 or 34 children. We go around, we'll pass brochures out. We'll have a picture of a child on a car and pass out brochures as we go around the country on this road adventure. And so, those things are what's important in life. And I couldn't do any of them. I wouldn't be involved in any of them if it wasn't for racing and NASCAR. So again, I thank NASCAR for giving me that platform that's allowed me to do all these other things.
Well, the folks can go on my Facebook page, Rob Amos. I have it, the Dodge Super Bee there with the link for the website. I believe it's BrevardCountyBBQ.com. I'm not 100% sure, but they can look it up, and hopefully a lot of people will buy some tickets for that Dodge Super Bee. And I just want to let the folks out there know that you are constantly busy doing things for other folks, that you're pretty much in quite a bit of demand now that you're not racing. It's like your schedule hasn't stopped, really.
Well, that's the great thing. Again, like I just said, NASCAR has given me that platform to be in that position to do these things. And, I mean, these are the things that really matter. NASCAR winning races, that's all important, but it just allows you to do all this other really, really good stuff.
Well, I mean, I guess in ending, can you say again one more time what you're going to do in North Wilkesboro for the people who are joining us a little bit late?
Yeah, man, I'm going up there and win.
What are we going to run with Wilkesboro? I missed that.
See, we got a new person here, so
Running
Geoff, could you tell him?
Yeah, it's the PASS sanctioning body, PASS.
Yeah.
Is sanctioning a 300-lap late model race at Wilkesboro, the 7th, 8th, and 9th of April. Big money to win, but Danny Bagwell's providing a car for me, my buddy Danny, and we're going up there and have some fun.
Cool.
Well, awesome. I look forward to it. I know I'll be there.
Yeah, it's going to be jam-packed full of cars. There are going to be 40 or 50 cars going for this race, and 300-lap race at Wilkesboro is tough, so yeah, I'm getting up early in the morning, running and exercising. I'm getting in shape. I'm going to be ready.
Is that why you asked me to bring the Rocky CDs down when I come down next week?
That's it, baby, yeah.
I'll be Burgess Meredith. I'll tell you, there is no tomorrow. I'll get you out there
Go chase that chicken.
chasing the chicken and get you up in shape. But you're in shape already, so that'll be easy.
Well, Geoff, it was nice having you on tonight. Any last parting things you want to pass to us? Lottery numbers, anything good like that?
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. And, I know the race fans enjoy the show. And so, yeah, just keep it up. And anyone out there need an experienced driver, you know where to get them now. I'm the guy. And but, yeah, come on out to North Wilkesboro. It's going to be a fun event, and let's support that track. I won, I think, 3 or 4 races there, and won a modified race there, Cup, and like I said, my brother Brett won a race there. So we have a lot of history at that track, and then they shut it down. So we want to get that thing opened up again, and this race, maybe we'll end up racing some more there.
Well,
Maybe if they put the still back up in the press booth, it might be able to open up a little bit easier.
Yeah, I think Junior still got one out there somewhere.
all right. Well, thanks again for being on here with us.
Okay, guys, and have a good evening.
Take care.
Geoff.
Bye-bye.
Okay, you got it right. Lori,
Yes,
are you still here with us?
I am.
Oh, thank you for our special guest there. I really appreciate that. Lori Banks, tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll kind of go from there.
Okay. Well, I got interested in racing because of my father, Harlan Banks, who's a lifelong Ford man. He's always been into local racing, and he worked for Holman Moody at one point, and even ran the Baby Grand National Series when I was growing up. He ran Buckingham and Hickory and Charlotte. And, it's just always been a part of who he is, and I truly respect him. And, little girl always wants to be close to her dad, so, we always had the race on in the background. I don't think he's ever missed a race his whole life, and he's the type of guy who would want to listen to the whole thing from the start to the end. He doesn't want to know who won, so he likes to experience the whole race himself. And so I grew up with it. A lot of people in my family were involved in racing. They worked on other pit crews and worked on other teams, and my aunt was a scorer, and my uncle took a show car around, and when my parents retired, they actually took a show car around for a couple of years for the Hensley's.
Wow.
Cool. Now,
Jimmy
Lori,
Hensing, wow.
I got a question for you. I was watching the Daytona 500 the other day,
Yeah.
and there was somebody standing behind Trevor. Who was that lady?
Did she have a huge smile on her face?
Oh
The
my
whole
God, I
time.
could recognize that smile from a mile away, I think.
Oh my God, you guys, that feeling is so addicting. I see why people race all of their lives just to be in victory lane and experience this adrenaline rush that was up there. It was an out-of-body experience. I'm just grateful to the Wood Brothers for allowing me to be a part of the whole experience. And I had a feeling that day, and I had shared it with a couple of people. I just had that feeling of infinite possibility, and that, you know, God and the universe was paying attention to the Wood Brothers and to Trevor, and you know, that Cinderella story just came true, and there was just so many things that aligned to make that happen. And I just can't describe the feeling. I'm wearing the hat right now.
Which one? They go through the whole hat ceremony every
Hey,
time.
Hey, Laura, this is Rob Amos. I'm with Geoff Bodine. We were actually with all the folks here up here at the Daytona 500 party, and there's a local radio disc jockey named Mike Arlo. Actually got him interested in NASCAR. But prior to that race, I looked at him and I said, "You watch Trevor Bayne. That's who I'm picking to win the Daytona 500." And he looked like I just jumped off the apple cart and hit my head. And he goes, "Are you insane?" I says, "No, you just watch him." And, you know, sure enough, after the race, he goes, "How in the world did you know?" I said, "Just watching him. I mean, the last two races before that, I mean, he was incredible. He's a great young kid, a lot of talent. And you know what? What a great young role model." So, I mean, you folks are very, very lucky, I mean, to get a star like that to come around. Every once in a while, you know, somebody with that type of talent, and, you know, once he starts getting those other tracks underneath his belt, see a lot of success coming for the Wood Brothers in the future.
Absolutely. I mean, he is the true package. I mean, he's a media darling, and you can tell from the beginning he's got whatever it takes to be a true champion, because he's got the skill, as you were saying, and he's got the looks, he's got the intelligence, and he's humble, and he's very connected to his family and very connected in his faith. And I think he represents the Wood Brothers very well, because they are also very connected in their faith as well. So, you know, I look at huge possibilities for him.
Oh, absolutely. I look forward to seeing him grow and get more victories and hopefully contend. Wouldn't it be great to see the Wood Brothers contend for the Cup?
Absolutely.
That would be awesome.
I think with him they could.
Oh, definitely.
With Trevor,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I really think that if they committed to a full season, they definitely could. So it's got a Tiny Lund-esque to that win.
That's true.
Do you know what I mean, Lori?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. I mean, that whole story, I don't know if you want to share the story about Tiny Lund and just what had happened, and I mean, that just blows my mind. It really does. Do you want to share about that?
Yeah, and I know you guys know all about it. I mean, you should. Marvin Ponch wrecked a car. He was testing a Ford prototype, and Tiny Lund and a few of the other drivers. Tiny was the biggest one. And if anybody that knew Tiny, he was 6'7" and weighed 300 some odd pounds. He was a huge man.
Big
He
man.
picked this car up and saved him. And Marvin said, you know, why don't you guys give him a chance and let him run in my place? Well, he won the Daytona 500 with it, and did it in Wood Brothers style. Didn't take any tires, took nothing but fuel, and won that race. And if I'm not mistaken, he won it by 4 laps. Am I right on that?
Yeah, I mean,
It was up there at least.
it was another Cinderella story. And it shows that good things come from good things.
Right.
I truly believe that.
Yeah.
That's one thing we're a big believer in too, and I'm sure you know, and everybody knows that there's a lot of community as far as our faith goes at the NASCAR track. Everybody has a great belief in our Lord Savior, and you know, it's amazing how everybody gets together and says the prayers and meets with the chaplains, and it's a really tight community as far as that's concerned in our sport.
Yeah, that's one of the things that really impresses me about the community of NASCAR is the heart that not only do they love racing, but then they extend that to everybody's foundation and doing great things for the world. I think that people outside of our sport, they don't really realize that until you get them involved with the sport.
True.
And every single driver has somebody, a foundation that they are passionate about, and they give back.
Right.
I've always said it's a big family. The NASCAR and the racing community. It's
a
one
huge
big,
family.
huge family. You might fuss and fight on the track, but push comes to shove, they're going to be there for you.
At the end of the
And everybody
day,
else.
you're next to their coach. You have to say hello, even in the morning for coffee. What if you need some sugar and you're out of it? Your coach, you have to go next door and
Next
say,
coach.
"Hey, can we borrow
Yep.
some coffee or whatever?" But everybody gets upset. It's the competition out there, and once everything's settled down, it's a pretty tight family.
Well, one of the stories that I find really fascinating too is the Wood brothers and the Pettys were just such competitors like that. But just an example of what you're saying is that they're the best of friends right now, and I think it was that competitive spirit that made them be all that they can be, and they respect that in each other. So, without the Pettys, the Wood brothers wouldn't be what they are, and without the Wood brothers, the Pettys wouldn't have, achieved the level of success that they did. And with that, I wanted to mention another sort of magical story as well, because we've been involved with the Darrell Gwynn Foundation. Classic Gateway Mustang has recreated a replica of the 1976 Daytona 500, the Mercury that David Pearson won with Richard Petty. And as you know, that was one of the most exciting, thrilling finishes of all time. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hard to beat that one.
Yeah. And I just think there was a lot of magic that day as well. And we went out to Phoenix just recently and did the Barrett-Jackson auction and auctioned off the car for charity for Darrell Gwynn. And just to show you how great Richard Petty is, he came into the victory lane there, and when we did the unveiling of the car and spoke and supported Leonard and the Wood brothers on this car and just gave his impression of the day, and it just shows what great friends that they really are. And Richard had invited us to his celebration, his 50 years in racing in Chicago, and we were just honored to be able to be a part of that. And so I just had this crazy feeling too, because I was taking this video, and there is Richard Petty and Leonard Wood and the 21 car with the David Pearson scheme, which, as you guys know, David Pearson's getting into the Hall of Fame this year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. A huge honor for the Wood brothers and for him, and so there's this image in my head of them being in victory lane, but they were doing good things for the planet, giving back, helping Darrell Gwynn, who just spends his life helping others. And then 2 months later, here we all are in victory lane in this Cinderella finish with this newcomer, Trevor Bayne. Here's Richard Petty in victory lane with the Wood brothers, with the David Pearson car scheme, and it was magical.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful car, though, I tell you that. I mean, it was great to see her go around the track. Personally, I'm a Ford guy, so, I always root for them, and I think that Ford's going to have a great year with the new motors finally getting to where they're supposed to be.
Now, now you do have some of those videos, I think, on your Facebook page, right, Lori?
I do. If anybody's interested, it's Lori Banks Life Coach on the Facebook.
Okay.
Now, you and I had talked earlier too. Now, apparently, one of the duplicate cars for the Pearson car was auctioned off?
We
and-
just went through that.
Yeah, we just went to that.
Well, geez, here I
Where
go
were
walking
you?
around the corner.
You're
You didn't have it marked off
Do
on
you-
the
do you
sheet.
listen
I
to
think-
your own show?
Yeah, I don't think he does. Lori, we got to tell a little bit. You know, we've been sitting here talking to you, and we know you're connected with the Wood Brothers. But what else do you do?
Okay, well, I'll give you a little background on myself. Before I do that, just to clarify about the Barrett Jackson, we did auction it off in Phoenix, and the person who bought the car for, I think, $75,000 donated it back to the Darrell Gwynn Foundation, and we are taking it to the Barrett Jackson in Palm Beach in April. I think it's April 7th through the 10th. We don't actually have the car slot yet, but it's going to be during those dates, and they're going to re-auction it again.
Wow.
So I wanted to invite everybody to, support that happening and support Darrell Gwynn.
Well, with Darrell Gwynn, they do that a lot. They did a replica of his Coors Extra Gold, and I think that one day it resold 3 times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but go on. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, my background, I studied computers at Virginia Tech. I grew up in Virginia. I grew up in Mediterranean, Virginia, which is really close to Stuart. I grew up with the Wood Brother family. Beth, Leonard's daughter, was my age, and we did dance and baton and band together. And Leonard's wife, Betty, was a great person and a true influence in my life. And her sister, Claudette, was a really close friend of mine. She was my teacher, and she was the person that I chose as my role model in life. And she and I kept in touch my whole career. And anyway, Leonard lost Betty in a car accident 14 years ago. And when I moved back to Virginia, he had all of these events to go to, and no one that he really wanted to go with. And I had moved from LA, where I had a lifestyle of events and fundraisers and parties to go to, and so we just became best friends. And I accompanied him to the Roush Christmas party and got to meet Jack Roush and Doug Yates, and just fell in love with Jack Roush. He's hilarious, and just loved him. And then the very next event was the MPA Hall of Fame, and I'm sitting at the table with Richard Petty and Dale Inman and Humpy Wheeler and Cary Gant and all of these people I've heard about all my life, and I'm thinking, how did I get here?
Yeah, that's a pretty neat opportunity and a great experience to see all that history and modern day, folks in NASCAR, and it's kind of a great club to belong to. I tell you what, I enjoy all the time that I'm with everybody there, and you're right. There's just so much good together, so much positive synergy, that there's just so many great things that can be done if you meet the right people.
Now, Lori, now you said you had your own little company, if I remember correctly.
That's right. Just a little bit of history. I studied computers, and then I had a 20-year career as a software engineer, mostly in Los Angeles, and I worked for companies like Oracle Corporation and Tele Atlas, and I worked for people like Fran Tarkington and Larry Ellison. It was highly competitive, highly stressful, and we always took these self-development classes to get ahead or keep the edge. And I just found the self-development classes to be fascinating, and I really thought if I ever made a career change, I would go into that. And I did. I went back and got my master's degree and went to school to be a certified professional life coach. And just to give you an example of what that is, a therapist works with people who are having issues in the past that are affecting them today. And a life coach is someone who works with successful, healthy people who want to be at a different level of their life, or they want to achieve a goal. So they want to write a book, or create a company, or create a foundation, or, be in a love relationship if they're not already in one, or make the one that they have better. So it's just, for me, to witness somebody achieving a goal, it gives you that great feeling. So I created my company, which is called Bliss Inc. And that is the bliss to me is the state of mind or the state of being of that pure ecstasy and that happiness of just being connected to God and yourself and just being in line with your heart and your passion and your purpose. So that's what I aspire to do in my life.
Well, you know, that's a great way to help people out there to achieve their dreams, and you know, that's a special gift if you're able to do that. You know, hats off to you. I mean, it's a lot of positive messages in there, and if you can get everybody to align all of those positive poles in their life, they can really achieve quite a bit.
Well, and one of the, you know, it's my intention to give back, but instead of me personally working for a foundation or doing something myself, I thought, well, if I could help 100 people and they give from their overflow and they help people, then that's going to exponentially help the world.
Right.
So that's sort of my approach to giving back.
Well, it must be working because you're running in some great circles right now, pardon the pun.
Well, what's interesting is once I made the career change, I started working for a motivational speaker. His name is T. Harbecker, and he has a company called Peak Potentials. And he wrote the book Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, and it's all about financial freedom and living the life of your dreams and so forth. And so I was a coach for him. He had 4,000 clients. He had 100 coaches, and so I had about 60 people all over the world that I would coach over the phone. And having that job allowed me to move from Los Angeles back to my small town in Virginia. I had people in my family, two dear people, my uncle Roy Castle and my aunt Norma Castle had stage 4 cancer, and I just felt like I wanted to be at home supporting my family. And so this job with this company and being a life coach allowed me to move back. And that's how I got reconnected with Leonard and the racing and so forth. But what was really interesting to tie it back to coaching is that once you achieve your dreams and you get all the money that you want, what is it that you do? What lifestyle do you choose? And you look at what I found fascinating. You look at a Jack Roush and a Roger Penske, and I mean, there's a lot of multimillionaires and a lot of billionaires in the sport of racing, and they love it so much with their heart that that's what they choose to do with their time. And you know, I just find it so fascinating that Roger Penske wants to spend all day at the track, and not only does he do one series, he does multiple series.
Oh, right.
Yeah, talking about, you know, the millionaires and stuff, I just read somewhere, I think last week, somebody won one of the lotteries at several $1 million, and he was going to go out and start shopping for a race team.
They ran Daytona, the Truck Series or ARCA Series, one of the two. I can't remember which one it was, but
ARCA.
I wish they would have gave us a call. we were looking.
They were talking about
Right.
it. I think they're in practice or it's during the
Now
race.
now you got somebody to go tap on and say, hey,
That's
what's
right.
experienced in the car?
There you go.
I'm sitting here going over. I got some questions here to ask you, but what's in the future for you? What are we going to do here?
Well, one of the things that I also work for a clothing company, because one of the things that I noticed, I feel like I'm an ambassador for NASCAR, or I like to think that I'm an ambassador for NASCAR and racing, and most of the people that are involved with racing have a uniform or they're wearing a sponsor shirt, except for the wives and the girlfriends and some of the people, some of the family members. And so I took a job part-time in a designer clothing store called BCBG Max Azria to be able to afford some cute outfits to wear to the races. And so I mentioned that because I think that the TV is really important, and you never know whether, you know, we're being photographed a lot and on camera a lot, and a lot of that doesn't make it out there until you get into the victory lane, and then suddenly 30 million people are watching you. So unfortunately, or fortunately, I think that the fashion is a little piece of it. So in the future, I have some ideas that I've been working on. that I wanted to incorporate the coaching and the fashion and some of the NASCAR lifestyle. So I'll be announcing that, and I would love to come on to your show and tell you all the details.
That'd be cool. Yeah, you could do that.
Get on to a nice tight ball and get everything all hooked up. And cross the T's, dot the I's, as they say. Now, hey, who's your favorite driver?
Trevor Bay.
Yeah,
We're going to put her on the spot.
without question, right now it's Trevor Brehm. I mean, he's, like I said, he's the true package, and of course I support anyone that is racing for the Wood Brothers and Bill Elliott in the past. But besides the Wood Brothers, if I had to pick somebody else, I would definitely pick Tony Stewart. He's just, I mean, he was one of the very first people I met in NASCAR, and I met him at the Daytona 500 in 2007, and I just think he has raw talent, and you know, he's just so smart and savvy and sassy, and he has a personality that really clicks with Leonard and I, because we like to play and pick, and Leonard connected with him because they both have a love of the remote control cars. And Tony, as you know, has a company that does that. And Leonard hand makes remote control cars. So, you know, they had this connection, and we always just go up and say hi to him and wish him luck on every race.
Yeah.
I tell you, so many fun things that everybody gets connected to out there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, have you helped him in his anger management, shall we say?
Oh, you'll have to ask Tony about that. I mean, one of the things I like so much about him is his authenticity, and you definitely know when he's mad at you.
Yep.
You know, he definitely speaks his truth, and I would love to have an opportunity to speak with him about it. But you know, we were close friends, and he'll just have to talk to you about that. I'm actually quite proud of him. I think he's done a lot of growth as he's moved into the ownership role with Mr. Haas and with Stuart Haas. I just think that he's always shown great entrepreneurship and choices in his businesses, and I just think he's taken that professionalism to the next level at this point with Stuart Haas.
Yeah, I think he's done a real good job. I kind of miss the old Tony a little bit, but he has. He's done an exceptional job.
And you can meet the old Tony.
Well,
but that was circumstances.
That was circumstances. That wasn't.
And we all run into those.
Well, I'm sure Lori tell everybody too that Tony is a really good guy.
Yes, he is.
You know, despite what some people will say about this or that, I mean, he's a passionate guy. He's a true racer. And, you know, he is a great guy, and he does a lot of things for a lot of people that people have no idea how much that this man does. So he used to be Geoff Bodine's neighbor for years on Lake Norman. So, you know, we got to see him when, you know, he was just starting up with Gibbs. And, you know, so it's great to see somebody like him, you know, and look where he is at now. So that's one of the best things about being in this sport is you see folks just like with Denny Hamlin, seeing where he's growing too. I mean, now we get to watch Trevor. I mean, and that's going to be another great adventure. You know, I'm very much looking forward to his growth. And Lori, are you doing anything with Trevor as far as coaching or anything of that matter?
We have not spoke about it, but I'm here for him as he needs me. He seems to get his. His parents are just so fabulous, and they're like the Wood Brothers family. They live with their heart, and I think he gets his strength from his church, and right now, you know, he's impressing me with all of his choices and his words, and so I'm trusting that he's got all of the tools that he needs, but I'm here if he ever needs me.
Well, have you ever decided to call, ever thought of calling Robbie Gordon? But we could probably give you a short list of some drivers that could probably use your life coaching. You know, just you know, think about it. Back in the old days when everybody used to go out there and start throwing fists and everything, NASCAR actually said, a few drivers like Ned Jarrett, started to go to charm school. And I tell you what, it's done a lot of good for the sport.
Yep.
And I actually see, Lori, somebody like you, with your skill, you could probably do something in that sport, working with up-and-coming drivers, in all the series. Somebody like you would be very valuable in how they handle the sudden success, how to treat people on and off the track, the right way to do things. You ever think about that?
Yeah, I have thought about it. They have a few people at the track that some Christian services that they use, and then on the other end they've brought in, I think the Hendricks teams have brought in a sports psychologist who has very similar skills to a life coach, and there's always possibility for other eyes and other perspectives. So where sports psychologists might have statistics and doing some mental work, I work mostly on the emotional, spiritual level with a lot of the tools and techniques that I work. I use psychosynthesis and rational emotive and Gestalt and neurolinguistics programming, and some of those techniques, which I'm probably just throwing out a bunch of words to you, but it's just those techniques are some of the things that I use: hypnosis and kinesiology, and so I'm open to having more clients and open to helping anyone in the NASCAR world.
Well, it looks like you have the right connections. It could probably be a very valuable service to these drivers coming
to a lot
up.
of people, yeah.
Cool.
I tell you who I'd love to support is Dale Jr., because I just see huge potentiality with him, and I think he's a great race car driver, and I think he'll be great again. And my instinct for him is that I think he's bigger than racing. I think he has his power and his influence is just so huge, and not just because of his dad, but just who he is as a person. And we personally are friends with him, Leonard and I, and we just support him tremendously. And so I'd love to see him in all of his glory.
Yeah, Junior's another one of those that does a lot of things behind the doors, and people don't find out about it till can be as much as months down the road.
Yep.
We've known of things he's done, and you have to sort of sit on it, and you can't say anything till it's time to say it. It says, hey, let me take and announce it on my own, and you got to take and honor that with these guys.
Lori, now you work with computers too, and you're doing this life coach and all that. Do you've got like an internet website or something where people can get to you?
I don't have one up right at this present time. That's one of the things that I'm working on in this redesign of my coaching practice. So that'll be something I'll announce when I come back on your show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I had to
The
ask.
easiest thing to do is get on her official page and do a
So
like
on the
it.
Facebook,
She has
Lori
Facebook
Banks,
at least.
And
life coach. I'm gonna hit you up.
Coach, yeah.
If you can't find it, just go to my page and do a search for
I'll
it.
find it. Well, Lori, let's let you get out of here. I mean, you brought us Leonard Wood, and I do certainly appreciate that. I'd like to get him and Ed on here one time. I bet we could do a whole show with them two.
I think if you got Leonard Wood and Dale Inman,
there you
that
go.
would be a really interesting.
Oh, that would be good.
we adore Dale, and they have some really interesting discussions when we're at the track. So that would be fun as well.
And they're good friends too, aren't they?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
tremendous. It's one of those playful relationships where they keep each other on their toes.
They keep each other honest, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see it now, Lori. One Wednesday night, we're just going to come down to your place and just have everybody come by, and we'll have one big group ceremony or something.
Yeah, sounds good. You'll have to plan on coming down for Charlotte race.
There you go.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
So let's let you go here so we can all get out of here. I'm sure that everybody wants to food.
Yes.
I just have a big black lab just waiting for me to take him out.
Okay. So Lori, thank you for being on here. When you get all that news together, give us a call.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity, and racing is part of my heart and soul, so I just appreciate being able to go and being able to talk about it. So thank you.
All right,
Well, it was
Lori.
great
have yourself a
talking
good
to you.
night, and get back up with me when you got everything ready to roll.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lori.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Ta-da!
No one else to talk to?
No, we're done.
We didn't get to do much of the news stuff. I don't know what you guys rolled over while I was trying to line.
Just talk about the truck race a little bit. That's about it.
that they didn't watch.
Yeah.
The truck race that they didn't watch.
Yeah. I didn't know what was
Oh,
going
it was
on.
Darlington. It was
It
pretty
was
good.
Darlington.
They tied the record for the most cautions.
Of
Okay.
course.
Joanna Long got taken out really bad.
Oh.
Yeah.
It wasn't her fault though. I mean, she had no place to go.
Didn't she have a right front go out or something like that? Or right rear?
No. Ricky Carmichael lost it coming off 4, and I think she got turned around or something, and she might have lost a tire and ended up plowing into him,
Yeah, 'cause I
or
think
he plowed into her.
There was a couple of ricochets up there.
You know, yeah.
Good shots of it. So.
I got you.
But she had a decent race going. She did have a decent truck. Carmichael had a good truck.
He usually does, but he doesn't usually lose it like this.
It was nice. She got some
Yeah.
airtime too as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she got some decent airtime. I can't even remember who won it. Who won it?
Casey.
Casey King.
Casey Kane won it with Corner Day second.
Yep, and then Todd.
And then
Todd
Todd.
Bodine.
And then Todd Bodine
Bodine.
was third. And
Was that
Todd
Bodine?
Bodine.
Todd Bodine.
Bodine?
Bodine.
Yeah, the onion.
Bodine.
Yep,
The
Bodine.
onion.
Right.
Then
There's many layers.
what's Geoff gonna use for our nickname?
Casey and Todd were on the front stretch, or on that last restart, and they both spun their tires. Except Todd spun them worse than Casey, and that's the only reason. And then, of course, you got Hornaday back there, who was just a master at restarts.
Restarting genius.
And was right
The
there.
man.
So, it ended up being a really good race. Really did.
Well, that's the best thing about trucks. I mean, it's some great
They'll
racing.
reshow
I think it's better than Cup.
I
I
do.
tell you what, yeah. I mean, it's a
I
lot of
always-
excitement. You just never know when something's going to bust loose.
I always look. I hate saying, but I think they run harder too. And
Oh, they
just-
do.
They use up their
no
trucks.
doubt
I mean,
about it.
Yeah.
No
It
doubt
is.
about it.
I mean, in comparison to the show that you get, the trucks still are leading in that section.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely.
also, now there were a lot of tracks this past weekend too that started.
Well, and I'm going to give out a shout out to my buddy Thomas Stinson. Started 16th at Caraway in the NASCAR Wheeling Modified Series. Finished 3rd,
Wow.
and said he was beating on Tim Brown's bumper to get around him. Said he needed a few more laps, but he did a great job. Timothy Hodnett just reminded me of that. But yeah, he did an excellent job. He was like 2/10 faster in qualifying than he did last year. Last year he started 6th. This year he started 16th. So either the tires have picked up or the track has picked up down there at
Or-
Caraway.
They,
No, he was 2/10 faster than
Oh.
last year, and
Well, I
he
mean,
still
the other-
qualified
but I'm
16th.
just saying the other drivers picked
So,
up as well.
yeah,
Well, usually every year, I mean, there's so many improvements that they pick up.
Yeah.
You know.
yeah.
Clean the track, lay a new surface, or change the tire compound.
Yeah, compounds are constantly improving. You
Yeah.
know,
I mean,
could be quite a few things.
anytime you do a major change to a track, you almost have to throw away the book you had for the past several years and start from scratch.
Yeah,
Yeah, level playing field.
sounds like that's what happened. But no, truck, and I agree with what you were saying. Trucks, that's the way to go.
Right. I mean, it's
It really
great
is.
bang for the buck. I mean, I know we have a blast when we're racing in trucks. I mean, it's just ungodly power, you know, and it's a blast.
Yep.
It's a blast.
What? I don't want to give you this.
So anybody out there that's got a truck ready for racing, let us know. Got a good driver for you.
Brendan Poole won the UARA Hickory. Who won at South Boston this weekend? Mason. Peyton Sellers. Peyton's back in town. I thought he was still out west coasting it. What happened to C.E. Falk?
Ooh. See how good Mason is.
Visit pcdocs.ws for new PCs and laptops.
You sound like you read it off a piece of paper.
I did.
He practiced that for hours. I
Yeah.
saw him in front of the mirror. He's
We
using
get going so fast sometimes and we forget to make sure sponsors.
Sponsors. And Waxing Frenzy. We
There you
can't
go.
forget about that.
Jeff
Jeffrey
Bodine's
Bodine's.
Waxing Frenzy. You can get it at Ace, actually Advanced Auto Parts and some Napas, and ask your Ace local hardware. They'll pick it up too, and part of the proceeds go towards building those bobsleds that we won the U.S. gold medal for in the Olympics. So,
CE total.
and it only cost us $140,000 to build that bobsled. So
That's it.
we don't make a penny off of those. So it's a lot of wax to sell.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing too. That Jeff. It's Jeff now, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, it's not Jeffrey anymore. I was
no.
kind of
Jeff.
nervous about it.
Well, it was Jeff, and then there were so many Jeffs out there that people would be running. He'd be over by the car, and he'd yell, "Jeff, Jeff, Jeff," and he'd turn around, and
change
there's
Jeffrey.
Jeff Gordon,
Jeff Burton.
I mean,
That's
he goes,
what he was
yeah,
supposed to
Jeff
know.
Burton. So
That
he goes,
makes
you know
sense.
what? My mom called me Jeffrey. I'm going to Jeffrey. So he went to Jeffrey, and then we came out with the product, and it was Jeffrey Bodine's. He goes, "Huh?" After 200,000 new labels, I want to be Jeff. I'm like, don't.
Oops.
Strange
But-
city.
I love the guy to death. He's like my brother.
He really is a good guy. I met him when he was up at Langley
Yeah.
a number of years ago, and really a great guy.
Yeah, we can do that again. We just need a good car up there and see if we get something worked out with the fine folks up there at Langley. We enjoy ourselves there. I know I enjoy myself up there
Probably
at
get a
Langley.
good deal from CE on
You
a
know,
used car.
And he's won there.
well,
You
yeah.
didn't know
Jeff's
CE
won there.
Quite a bit.
CE totaled his car.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay.
I haven't heard how he totaled
Yeah.
his car.
That's
Well,
the
they just-
interesting part.
So it's right there.
What?
Whoever, I don't know.
Him
the
and
name.
Nick hit wheels. It took a hard hit on the inside wall, and then David
on.
Latour hit him. Oh, they were playing pinball.
Basically.
And in South Boston, you don't do that.
Yeah.
My spot. No, my
Intentionally
spot.
or unintentionally, you really avoid that.
Doing the my spot, no my spot thing. Wouldn't give the other.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't even take that because it's so rough, and there's times that
Yeah, it'll just bounce up.
they'll slap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They'll
Nick,
slap
Nick
you.
Wirtz was down there too, and he got tore up too.
I don't think. What did he go?
I saw some pictures that popped up on Facebook, and
He
front
might
of the
have.
car was like off of it.
Ooh.
He might have.
And did anybody hear anything how Godovic did at their testing session?
No, I haven't heard anything on that.
The son or senior?
Both. They both went and tested
Both went.
that out.
So hot. If Tim's still out there, he can probably answer that.
He's
Video will be out once Taylor gets married. Everyone wrecked. Only 2 of 26 were undamaged. Well, that's South Boston, and that's the first race.
well, the first race of
Sorry.
the year. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody's
Must've been
anxious.
A lot of payback from last year due or something.
A lot of anxious drivers wanting to get out there again.
Yeah, it's usually the first races are,
Yeah, everybody's getting themselves back settled down.
South Boston
They were?
is so
Well, trying.
It didn't work.
it's so narrow. I mean,
And of course, April 9th, Langley starts up, so can't wait for that.
I think they're practicing next weekend. This weekend and next weekend.
Probably.
Then media, and then
All
let's get out of here.
right.
All right. I'd like to thank everybody for watching the show with us tonight. See you next week.
See ya.
Good night.
Push all the buttons now.
See you soon, Jake.